Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to tackle a problem that, well, it probably keeps a lot of developers up at night. Figuring out what is really going on inside your Amazon DynamoDB.
You've all been there, right? Your application starts grinding to a halt, users are complaining, but you look at the database dashboard and everything's green. So what's the deal? Is your database actually healthy, or is some major problem just silently brewing under the surface?
You know, trying to fix performance issues without the right data, it's like flying a plane with a blacked-out cockpit. You are completely blind. So today, we're going to flip the switches and light up that instrument panel. We're going to explore the 3 key pillars of DynamoDB monitoring that will give you that cockpit view you absolutely need to fly safely.
Okay, first up, let's check the vitals. Our first pillar is Amazon CloudWatch. The best way to think about this is like an EKG for your database. It's constantly monitoring the pulse, the pressure, all those fundamental health signs that tell you if everything is okay at a glance.
The first, and honestly the most important question we need to answer is about performance from your user's perspective. I mean, at the end of the day, slow responses lead to frustrated users, and that's the #1 thing we want to avoid. The key metric for this? Latency. So the metric to watch here is successful request latency. Now, what's really crucial to understand is that this isn't about network lag. This measures the time your request spends inside DynamoDB itself. A few spikes here and there, that's fine. But if you see that average number consistently climbing, that is your first major red flag that something is wrong.
Next up on our vitals check, capacity. Think of it like bandwidth for your database. You know, DynamoDB's whole promise of steady, predictable performance depends on you having enough capacity for your reads and writes. If you hit that limit, DynamoDB starts throttling, which is basically it telling your application to slow down, I can't keep up.
So, how do you keep an eye on this? With these 2 metrics, consumed read capacity units and consumed write capacity units. It's a constant balancing act. You need to provision enough capacity so things run smoothly, but not so much that you're just burning money. Watching these metrics is exactly how you find that sweet spot.
And now for probably the easiest health check there is, the system errors metric. This one is super simple. It should always be 0. No exceptions. If you ever see this number tick up, even by 1, it means there's an issue on AWS's side, and it's time to go check the service health dashboard.
But here's the thing, just watching these numbers on a screen isn't enough. The real power comes from setting alarms. It's a really simple 3-step process. You pick a metric, you set a threshold like, hey, alert me when I hit 80% of my capacity, and then you decide how you get notified. This is the difference between finding out about a problem from an angry customer and catching it hours before it even happens.
All right, so we have our vitals, now we need the logbook. And that brings us to our second pillar, AWS CloudTrail. If CloudWatch tells you what is happening, CloudTrail is what tells you who did it and when.
So, CloudTrail captures all the API calls and splits them into 2 big categories. You've got control plane events. These are the big actions that change the structure of your database, like creating or deleting a table. These are logged by default. Then you have data plane events. These are the actual reads and writes to your items. And here's the catch. You have to remember to turn on logging for these yourself.
And a single log entry like this gives you a complete audit trail. It answers the most important questions for security, for debugging, who did what and when. Right here, we can see that user Bob, from the specific IP address, updated the table. For tracking down weird issues, this kind of detail is pure gold.
Our third and final pillar is a bit of a specialist diagnostic tool. It's called CloudWatch Contributor Insights. This is the tool you pull out when your general metrics look okay, but you're still hitting performance bottlenecks. It helps you find that needle in the haystack.
Specifically, it helps you find something called hotkeys. Okay, think of DynamoDB like a big supermarket with a whole bunch of checkout lanes. Those are your partitions. Now, if everyone suddenly rushes to one single lane, that lane gets totally overwhelmed, right? And everything grinds to a halt, even if the other lanes are completely empty. A hotkey is that one overloaded checkout lane.
Now, Contributor Insights gives you 2 ways to hunt for these hotkeys. The first mode looks at all the traffic, which is awesome for a really deep investigation. The second mode is more cost-effective, and it's designed for continuous monitoring. It only flags the keys that are actually being throttled right now.
And the output, it's just incredibly clear. It generates a graph, just like this one, which makes a hotkey instantly obvious. I mean, you can see at a glance that partition key A is just sucking up almost all the traffic, creating this huge imbalance. That's the root cause of your problem.
So there we have it. We've got our tools: CloudWatch for the vitals, CloudTrail for the logs, and Contributor Insights for the deep diagnostics. But tools are pretty useless without a plan. So now we're going to talk about how to actually use them to shift from just fighting fires to preventing them from ever starting in the first place.
And look, this is probably the most important takeaway of this whole thing. Before you set up a single alarm, you need a monitoring plan. A plan forces you to answer the hard questions up front. What do we actually care about? Who is the person that gets woken up at 3 a.m. when an alarm goes off? And what are they supposed to do? Without a plan, your alerts are just noise. With one, they're the foundation of a rock-solid system.
So by combining these three pillars, the vitals from CloudWatch, the logs from CloudTrail, and the deep diagnostics from Contributor Insights, you can finally stop flying blind. You have all the instruments you need. The only question left is, are you ready to listen to what your database is trying to tell you?